We get together to weave threads into a tapestry. It's all about relationships and finding intimacy, finding the boundaries and then relaxing so that you have someone holding the line when you are collapsing. It's hard to represent someone, let alone all. We all have our voice and experience unique falls. But recovery is collective. It's about finding roots, reconnecting with whenua and belonging in groups. Sometimes language is everything, but let's be pragmatic. Without training and changing attitudes, stereotyping is automatic. It's about bonding, bridging, and working together, and acknowledging our distress won't last forever. Ultimately, it's about hope and striving to make things new, and knowing that trials make us human. We are many, not few. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Katie Rickson aho. Thank you so much for having me tonight. My name is Katie and I live with bipolar. I thought life wasn't challenging enough, so I've also come here tonight with a broken leg. It's a Weber C fracture, Weber like the barbecue and C like the four-letter word I shouted out when I did it. And I sustained it from a fall on the way to feed our chickens, so nothing cool like snowboarding or anything like that. Tonight I'm going to talk about my experience of labels, the problem of labels, but also the benefit of labels. Labels can put you in a box if you let them. Labels can stop you pursuing opportunities. Without visibility and talking about labels, they can lead to self-stigma and stigma from others. But I've experienced benefits that come from labels. Labels allow you to make sense of your experience. Labels allow you to start a new journey of meaning making. Labels allow you to show some compassion for some of the behaviours and thoughts that you struggle with. Labels allow you to enter in a new understanding community, like the service user community and the neurodiverse community. Labels also allow you to access the right support and regain a sense of control and agency. Labels can also allow you to take your experience seriously. There is a chemical reason why you're behaving this way. It's not your fault, neither should you be ashamed of it. In his book, Owning Bipolar, How Patients and Family Can Take Control of Bipolar Disorder, Michael Pippich writes, "From the first time a bipolar-type mood event occurs to the first time bipolar disorder is specifically treated, a typical patient will have gone an average of nearly 10 years without proper care." Now, if you ask me, that's a long time to be struggling with things like suicidal thoughts, insomnia, the risky behaviour that comes with mania, and the dangers of depression. I was finally properly diagnosed with bipolar after I experienced postpartum mania and then psychosis. I was sectioned in a hospital under the Mental Health Act. It took me a long time to get my head around this word, this new label, a lifelong label without a cure. That's a lot for you and the people you love to take in. After I was diagnosed with bipolar, for a while I completely identified with the label. There was no distinction. Bipolar is Katie, Katie is bipolar. My calendar was built around events like tests, brain scan, blood tests, countless doctor's visits for prescription, psych appointments, maternal mental health coffee afternoons, staying in respite care, and even time in hospital when I was sectioned. Bipolar became so ingrained in what I did and who I was, I began to believe this was it. Bipolar was the beginning, the middle, and the end. Of course, 6 years on, I still think about bipolar. I still have days where I identify with it, but I try and hold it more lightly, talk to it. How can I manage you? What do you need? Will taking this opportunity be good, or will it trigger you? It's not that cliche of my inner child, but in a way it is. I do my best to be soft with it, tender even. But things have changed during my recovery. One of the most important things for me is to accept that label, make sense of that label, make it work for me, and even learn to thrive with that label. And one of the biggest things in my recovery has been to seek out other voices, other people living with bipolar, to read and absorb the different insights on how to live a rich and fulfilling life with bipolar, because it is possible. We must never underestimate the power of stories. I think we've seen that tonight with the documentary. During the lockdowns of 2020, I created a poetry website called Compassion Poetry. I recently wrote a series of essays called Bipolar and I've looked at the different ways my label intersects with other parts of my life, how it colours motherhood, how it makes me struggle with things like minimalism, how it's given me a heightened sense of spirituality, and how it's changed my attitudes on what success looks like for me. It's made me realise that self-employment works for me, because I can even work from the bath. That mental health days are not a luxury, but a necessity. It's made me realise that bipolar can be the worst at times, but it comes with some amazing strengths, like creativity, writing, and being able to hold space for other people. It's made me realise that people and community are everything. It's made me realise that I'm resilient, and not always in the conventional sense of resilience, because I can really cry. But I can also bounce back and make sense out of the hard experiences. It's also made me realise that visibility is really important. But it's also made me realise that visibility comes with vulnerability and emotional labour, and I know that not everyone can afford to be visible or vulnerable. It made me realise that we all have a different relationship with our labels, and that's totally okay. Like anything in life, recovery requires a village. It's impossible to go it alone. Recovery is a collective slog and a collective triumph. I let people know how I'm feeling rather than trying to carry on and hold it in. Bit by bit, month by month, podcast by podcast, social media post by social media post, neighbour talk and new friend talk, and now MUV Talks. I've told more people about my diagnosis, my label, my village grows. And that's the beautiful thing that has come from this experience, is that I've been given this obsession, this opportunity, this purpose to share my story in the hope it can raise awareness and reduce some stigma. And I'm so grateful to be here tonight to share a little bit about bipolar and what it looks like for me. Thank you. Ngā mihi.